than moderators for sure. So you won't hear a thing.
Okay, how do you think now is good, Kate?
Hold on, I just got trouble doing.
I love
22.
22 participants. So if you wanted to.
5 after, maybe we can.
Yeah.
Take
Okay.
that.
So welcome everybody to Careers and Strategy Development our webinar on maximizing LinkedIn. This is a workshop that we've actually been planning for a while now, and we took it virtual with COVID-19. I am Christina, and I'll be the facilitator, and we'll introduce our speakers in a minute.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Jeff Camuso with Shaman Design and Construction. I've been on LinkedIn for about 3 years now.
Good morning, Rhiannon Hayes. I was probably one of the first, or not first, but early adapters. I started on LinkedIn in 2007.
And Stacy Chambers from Hello Ray. And I looked it up this morning and I signed on November 1st, 2006.
Ooh.
Wow.
And I remember my first connection. Jim Sipple was the one that sent me the invite.
Jim Sipple. Mm.
So I'm going to hand over the speaker to Catherine, who is the Careers and Strategies in Development, one of the chairs. So Catherine, if you want to go over upcoming events.
Sure, thank you, Christina. I'm Catherine Sanford with Liberty Mutual. I co-chair this committee along with Erin Miller. And on behalf of Career Strategies and Development, I'd like to welcome you to our program this morning. We do have some upcoming sessions that I just wanted to point out. On May 8th, another CRAVE session, Dispelling Common Workplace Myths. On May 14th, our CRAVE session is on AI tools, a guide to capital spend on workplace to increase workforce effectiveness and reduce stress. And on the 29th, emergency preparedness, response, and reality. Okay, next slide. I would like to remind everybody about sharing on social media. There's some reminders here. You can post on LinkedIn, Twitter, and please be sure to like other posts that you see coming from our committee. And lastly, I'd like to thank Christina Meneghini and Christina Smith. Those were our two committee members who worked very hard, and our panelists for their efforts and flexibility in changing this, what was to be a more interactive in-person session to now a virtual session. So thanks everyone for their efforts.
Great, thank you, Catherine. Hi everyone, this is Erin Miller. For those of you who are new to joining us, welcome. We appreciate the time you're spending today. And for those of you who are veterans, we're happy to have you here in this virtual room. I would just add to Catherine that the CRAVE series, for those of you that are new, stands for Cornet Real Advantage Virtual Education. And this is part of a joint venture by the Education Committee and Real Advantage. And until such a time as we can return to in-person sessions with those two committees, these great opportunities will take the place of that. But our intent is to hopefully return and be networking with all of you soon. And just a quick housekeeping reminder, Debbie Crooks always does send a survey at the end of these sessions, and we really appreciate your help and input in completing that so that we can continue to give you great content. And I just echo Catherine's thanks. The amount of effort, energy, preparation, and work that all of our panelists and that our two Christinas have put into this session is absolutely unprecedented during an unprecedented time. So thank you.
You set the bar really high.
You did. Great. So without any further housekeeping, I think we're good to go.
Thanks, Erin.
Yeah, I just want to quickly run through thank you to our corporate partners for Cornet New England chapter. Oh yeah.
Yes, and our sponsors. Sorry,
Yeah, corporate sponsors, Platinum, and our gold sponsors.
Yeah, thank you all. So just a quick housekeeping note. If everybody could keep their phones on mute and their cameras actually off while Stacy and Jeff and Rhiannon present, that'd be great. But however, we do want to hear your questions as we go through the material. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and you can do that by going under the participants tab. And right here, you can see raise your hand. And what I'll do is I'll call on you, and you can then take yourself off mute and take your camera off if you'd like and ask your question directly. That's good for that one. So we'll jump in then to maximizing LinkedIn and going over this wonderful content. This is just a quick overview for today's agenda. And I think Debbie and Kate, did you want to jump in?
No, I think that's great. You guys are ready to roll.
Okay. I'm going to, oh, okay. Focus creates impact. Thanks, Rhiannon, for keeping the slide in. I love it. I think, you know, the three of us can attest to the power of LinkedIn. And I think, although other channels might be helpful, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever, I think our focus on LinkedIn has produced great results. And I think you'll see that kind of thread throughout the rest of the presentation. You can go to the next slide. No. Oh, there we are.
Yeah, this is it.
So let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn as a platform. It's coming up on 20 years. And if you look at, you know, the start since 2002 and 2004, it was 1 million users, 2007, 10 million, in 2015, 400 million. And here we are, you know, in 2020 with 660 million members across the globe. I think it's really interesting to just look at the graphic and show the breakdown by country. Certainly the United States is a huge user of it. I think initially, you know, it was created for economic opportunity. And I think, you know, as the platform has matured, we've seen a lot of acquisitions that kind of have spiraled it up to, you know, increase sharing, learning, and, you know, freelance ability to generate freelance work. I think, you know, there's so many aspects to the platform that you might not be aware of, and we're going to kind of dig into that a little later. Go to the next slide. So who is using LinkedIn? And if you look at it, you know, in the lens of companies versus users, you know, 30 million companies is an amazing, you know, platform to consider. It's even more amazing that they want to get to 3 billion. That's amazing to me. It's, you look at, you know, just take a quick peek at this graphic and how it breaks down the users and the people that are on it. It just shows you the power of the platform. It shows you the power of your ability to reach decision makers, reach people on mobile devices, you know, B2B, and, you know, you can be an influencer on LinkedIn. Just as yourself, you don't need to be a power user, but it's amazing what the platform can bring for you. You can go to the next slide. Okay. So the three of us are paid users of LinkedIn, and I think not everyone is, you know, familiar with the paid versus not paid version. I continue to maintain my paid version because of the additional benefits that I get. If you look, there's, you know, you can browse through direct mail, you can see who's viewing you, you can connect, you know, turn a light on for recruiters so that they can see that you're, you know, open for work. I've used the resume builder. It's interesting how it takes your profile and creates a resume for you. It's, you know, obviously you need a little tweaking, but it's still a great, you know, portion of the portfolio. This is, you know, you can gather data on, you know, your salaries, and, you know, my favorite part about the paid subscription is the learning courses, and you can take all kinds of courses, and then it rates you, and that can get something that can be a badge that you put on your profile. So although it's, you know, hefty, even at $600, there's so many benefits to it. I really find it worth it. Some companies might reimburse you for a paid subscription, but, you know, I still pay for it on my own. It's definitely been worth every penny. Here you go. Now I'm going to pass it over to Rhiannon, and she's going to talk about maximizing your profile.
Just to add to what Stacy was just saying too, if you're either unemployed or you're you have your own business, the cost of a LinkedIn subscription can actually be taken off your taxes as a business expense. So everybody should realize that. So looking at your profile, first of all, since LinkedIn is truly the business to business network, you want it to be as professional as possible. And I'm sure you've all been on LinkedIn, and I'm sure there's some guilty parties on this call as well that have a great shot of themselves, but it's not a professional shot. You know, it might be from a wedding or a barbecue that you were at, and you can see people that have had like people cut out of their photographs. So really, if you can try to get a professional photograph taken, or have somebody, you know, some people have some great photos that can be taken from an iPhone, get a friend to take one for you, but just try to avoid something that looks like you've been, you know, at another setting and have jury rigged it for the particular use. Also too, at the top of your profile, you'll have your picture on the far left, but you'll also, there's a banner behind that. There's a standard LinkedIn graphic that's that is there, but you can change that, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. So it's a landscape format. There are certain sizes that you need to use, but you can highlight a project that you've worked on, maybe an image from the city that you live in, or maybe a graphic from your company. I think, Christina, you have a great one. I really like the one that you've had. So it's a nice way to make your profile pop and look more professional. One thing that's really important is looking at your contact information. You can customize it easily from the profile edit page. Everybody on LinkedIn has their own custom URL. And believe it or not, if you type in your name, if your URL is really well done, the thing that's going to come up is LinkedIn will come up first in a Google search. So you can customize it so it's shorter. So as it increases your SEO, which is your search engine optimization on Google, but you can also take that smaller link and put it in the email signature, use it on resumes and business cards. And another thing, do look at your contact information and put in the best number to reach you. You can easily change it. So whether if you want to list your cell phone or just your business, that's fine. One thing that's really, really important, and a lot of people don't realize, is when you sign up for LinkedIn, and even if you're a user now, you should always have 2 emails registered. The reason for that is access. So for example, you should have a business one registered and also 2 a personal. So if for some reason your work situation changes unexpectedly, and that way you can still access your LinkedIn profile. I think there are a few people that have succumbed to not having that, so they can't go back in and edit that profile or delete it. So that's a really important point. Also in your profile, there's a section that allows you to promote the different sorts of work that you've done. And this gives you more credibility on your profile. It's the second, I think it's like the second or third section underneath your header. And it says featured, where you can add different things such as white papers, link to articles. Maybe there's a project that was done that's featured on your company's website. You can link there. Videos of speaking engagements. Also too, if you have a SlideShare presentation, that's a great place to feature it. And this is something that you can populate, but also change from time to time. And then that way too, you can share it with your network as an update. When you start looking at what your profile says as far as your positions in your past companies, professional organizations, you really want to keep your profile looking more as a more conversational, less than a formal resume. Some people like to fill out exactly what the role was. Others, you know, keep it very brief and simple. But one thing to make it more graphically interesting is you can link to the companies that you've worked at or work for, and also professional organizations. So on the far left-hand side, you'll actually have the logos come up, and there can also be a link that will take any visitor to your profile, will take them to the company that you work for.
So I just wanted to add one thing about having the 2 emails, because I was on the phone with someone yesterday who had 2 profiles because he got locked out of the other one.
Yeah.
And so when I looked him up, I said, you have 2 profiles. You can call LinkedIn and they'll merge them for you. So
That's new because it used to be that you couldn't really change it. So
yeah.
I think it's become something that people are now realizing they need to do. But really, your profile should be a way of sharing things about yourself that will feature your skills. This section, recommendation, endorsement, skills, and awards, these all fall further beneath your work history. So think about recommendations. Recommendations are written by, it could be a colleague, a client, somebody that you worked on a project with. You really want to aim for a minimum of 3 so that it looks a bit more substantial. Plus, again, that improves your SEO. It is perfectly all right to ask somebody to write a recommendation for you. And I know everybody's busy, so what you can do is you can offer to write something for them, and then they can edit it, and then you can also edit it or approve it. And then that will help expedite the process. The interesting thing too that they've now added is when one is written for you, you'll receive a notice via email and also through your LinkedIn messaging that someone has written a profile for you. So then you can go and read the profile, and if you're happy with it, you can just approve it. You might want to edit it a little bit, but it just allows you, there are more controls now on LinkedIn than they used to have. One thing to try to avoid is if you ask somebody for a recommendation, don't automatically go and write a recommendation for them, even just because it does tend to start looking like a quid pro quo. Endorsements and skills, this is further down. Now, this is an interesting thing. So one of the ways that LinkedIn makes money is the number of hits on the page. So they started doing endorsements and skills as a way to get people to engage more on the site and also to activate people's networking. So where those, this section started being auto-populated by LinkedIn, and what they do is they start off adding the skills that you have listed in your profile. But you can also add to those as well. So this is actually a very customizable section. So you'll find that the categories come in 3 ways: are industry knowledge, interpersonal skills, and what's called other. And so what ends up happening is it starts off by they start picking up certain key terms and phrases in your profile, and then it amplifies from there. And so you can add particular skills you want to be known for. Perhaps it's marketing communications. And so what ends up happening, for example, Jeff, if he looks at my profile underneath my header, he'll see 4 different things that he could endorse me for. So this is a way to get the interaction and the engagement, and then more looks. But the nice thing is, it's great to go and take a look, because what they'll do is they'll take the top 3 endorsements and they'll put them at the very top. They'll highlight those, and you'll see, for example, Jeff was endorsed for business development by 15 of his colleagues at Shawmut Design. And so you'll see the top 3 and where the areas of endorsement are coming from. So it's great to see if clients are endorsing you and your colleagues are endorsing you for certain skills. But also know you can go into that section, and not the top 3, but the next section, which you'll see probably maybe about 20 different skills. You can actually adjust those to where you want them to fall in order of relevance. So it's nice that there's more customization there. You can also remove something. You know, if somebody says, endorses me for CAD, I can't do CAD, so I can remove that.
Well,
Also,
cat herding is a skill.
Oh, cat herding?
Cat herding is a skill on LinkedIn, you know, so I'm going to recommend you all for that right now.
In quarantine, I'm going to add 5th grade math teacher to my
Then also too, awards and recognitions that you've received either from your companies or from associations that you've worked with. It's really important to add those in. It gives you a lot of great visibility, and it really, it speaks to your credibility as a professional. I think that's it.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So I'm going to take a little bit different of approach here and talk about posting content. We sent out a poll and I think most of you responded, and the vast majority of you are on LinkedIn, and the vast majority of you do not post on LinkedIn. And it seems to me that one of the common responses was you don't feel comfortable or you're not sure what to post. So I thought that we're going to go through posting, and I'm actually going to, after we go through the slide, jump on to LinkedIn to show you how to do it. But before we go through how, the how is not the difficult, it's the why, right? So start with why. Why are you on LinkedIn and what are you looking to get out of it? I always like to say LinkedIn's like a gym membership. Having a membership is great, but if you don't go and you don't use it, you don't get the benefits. So when somebody logs on or opens LinkedIn on their phone, really the vast majority of it is a scrolling series of posts. That's how it starts. So why would you want to be there? We always talk about, the power of attention and awareness, whether it's for your firm or for yourself, is never a bad thing. It's uncomfortable for some people sometime, but visibility is something that huge firms spend a lot of money on. So, take any Super Bowl commercial. Why are these big behemoth companies spending all of this money? Because they know there are a ton of people watching the Super Bowl and they're getting their message out to as many people as possible. Stacy showed a great slide in the beginning with the number of people that are on LinkedIn professionally, and they're mostly based on algorithms and whatnot in your industry. And the cost to entry is zero. There was a great slide on the differences between paid and unpaid. And I would say the vast majority of the benefits can be done with a free subscription. So when you talk about return on investment, to me, I don't understand why more people don't do it, but we're gonna go through that. So when you talk about, these firms, the Nikes, the Amazon spending all this money on a TV ad, we don't have the marketing budget set aside for that. But when you watch the new users of today, if they are watching TV, when a commercial comes up, most people in my family, they start scrolling through here. So the whole idea with the visibility is to be where the attention is. LinkedIn is just an unbelievable tool to be able to do that. So for your firm, it's a great opportunity to kind of build some awareness, let people know what's going on. But I think, and maybe even more importantly, and I think this is the difference here, is building your own personal brand. So it's one thing. I work for Shamit. Shamit's a great company. Shamit does a great job. That can get a little boring after a while, and it's our marketing team's job to keep making sure that we're top of mind. But what LinkedIn allows you to do that even a television commercial can't is to add your touch. And I think that the people who are doing really well on LinkedIn sort of understand this and feel comfortable. And we're going to go through kind of the steps there. But it's important in LinkedIn for people to kind of get a feeling for who you are, and not just by one post or two, but so that your voice is heard, so that if no one has ever heard of Jeff Camuso, if after a couple of weeks you start to get a feel for the type of person I am, and it happens. So we always talk about relationships is a curve. It's know, like, and trust. So if you were to go to a networking event, which I don't particularly like to do, I don't like to walk up to a stranger and say, hello, my name is. What I found is through LinkedIn, there becomes some familiarity over time, and people may actually come up to you and they feel like they've already kind of known you. It's almost like a predetermined icebreaker, and they have their own time to kind of figure out who is this person. They can look at your profile that Rhiannon touched on. But what's interesting is you can have the best profile in the world, but if nobody knows you're out there, who's actually looking at your profile? So by posting, it is a way to sort of get off the sidelines and sort of get into the game. Yeah.
Has anyone ever noticed when you didn't post?
Yes, actually, it happened the other. So with the COVID-19, I like to do a lot of construction industry posts. There's not a lot of construction going on right now. I've been stuck in my house. And so I kind of laid back a little bit because I didn't want to get too personal. We'll talk about that later. And I got a message from an architect, haven't heard from you in a while. I look forward to your post. Can you please put something up? And I actually tagged her in the thing, and I said, hey, this one's for you. And it's fun, and it's fun too. And we're going to talk about the line. It's still business to business. It's professional, but it's you, and it takes a while to kind of feel comfortable doing that. And before I get on the next slide, in real networking, I'm new to the business development side. It's a little difficult for me. I'm a natural introvert. And I asked somebody, you know, what is the trick? How do you do this? And a leader in the Worcester market, which I'm in, said, keep showing up. So if you were to go to a CoreNet event, you want to make sure you keep going to CoreNet events. But with LinkedIn, if you were to meet somebody at a CoreNet event, let's say, and you had a great relationship or a great introduction, you have to keep fostering that relationship to move it on the know, like, trust curve. It takes a lot of work. It's a lot of, you know, follow-up emails and this. Once you kind of get them into your LinkedIn network, by posting, you're actually kind of communicating in a little bit different way, but you're starting to, over time, work that know, like, trust curve, which I think is just unbelievable. I say it's a numbers game, and it's 100% true. If you go to the next slide. So on the next slide, so now we're going to talk about what to post. And again, it all depends on why you're on LinkedIn, right? But the general rule is, if you are genuine in what you post, and what you post is important to you, and it's done tactfully, go for it. It's important to know that this is a network. It's a platform. You are not there for you. You are there for the benefit of the industry. So a lot of people will say, I want to post, but I don't know what to post. Okay. What is your firm doing that you're proud of? Not what is your firm doing. Anybody can just blast that out. But is there something that your firm did, maybe for the community, maybe a cool project, and you feel good about that, and you want to be able to tell people that story, right? What's going on in your work that's interesting or different? What's your culture like? We every Friday in our office, we have a putting contest. We had just renovated our office. Everybody was excited about it. And one of the women in our office almost made the putt, and everybody went kind of crazy. And it was really authentic. It was great. It got viewed 25,000 times. And that's just promoting, not promoting, but showing, it's giving people an inside peek into, hey, what's going on behind the curtain at Shawmut. And it's a bunch of people who love what they do. And people like to see that. People go to LinkedIn for a little bit of a break. We talk about this later on the slide, I think. But if you were to reach out to somebody via email, most of our business-to-business communication is done through email, and it becomes burdensome. Those are your tasks. When you go into LinkedIn, you can still send someone a short message. It's received a little bit differently. You can kind of take a breath. You can see somebody's face with the message. And it's just a great way to really start to develop some of these relationships. So we are going to talk about, not selling, you're building trust, you're letting people get a feel for who you are. And there's different ways to do that. So next slide. So I'm going to share with you exactly what I did, because like I said, I did not feel comfortable sharing any original content to start. So here's the easiest thing to do is you get on LinkedIn and you see a post that you think is great, or a post from your own company, and you go down to the bottom corner and click share. That puts it out for you. That is the easiest thing to do. There are some people on LinkedIn that just share their company's marketing material. That's great. What I would kind of challenge you to do is to add your 2 cents. So you're sharing it. Why are you sharing it? What's in it for you? And then what that does, you're branding your company. That's great, but it's starting to help brand yourself. After you've kind of gotten the confidence to do that, the next thing to do is post an internet article that's relevant to maybe your clients or your peers in the industry. And I'll show you how to do that too. And again, remember, just sharing the article is great, but a quick sentence or two on why you think it's important really goes a long way. And then the granddaddy of them all is the original content. I think we're going to have a follow-up meeting to this presentation about really how to maximize your visibility. But LinkedIn is manipulated in such a way that it will promote original content and get it out to more people than sharing articles. It wants authenticity. It wants original content. So I'm gonna in 1 second pop open LinkedIn and just show you these 3 examples. And just to hit it real quick to help maximize, I think most of you know a hashtag is a great way to kind of add more people into your network. So if you did like a hashtag Boston, anybody that follows that hashtag will see your post. And then when you tag people, this is my favorite thing to do. So for an example, if we're building a project with an architect and an engineer and a client, rather than just saying, hey, this is Shamit's job, we say, hey, what a great job. And then you tag the architects. Everybody in the architecture firm sees that. You tag the engineer. Everybody in the engineering firm sees that. So you're sort of lifting everybody up, and it doesn't look like you're just, pumping your own chest out. You're really promoting the team and allowing everybody to kind of get involved.
Can I add to that too, Jeff? Because
yeah, please.
One of the things about tagging is it means, like, so if Jeff tags me, Stacy and Jeff did posts about this presentation, it shows up in my newsfeed.
Yeah.
So it's a great way, as Jeff is saying, to support the whole team, but it also it amplifies the number of people who will end up seeing the post. And so just by sharing something like that, you are exponentially reaching so many more people.
Mm-hmm. In a very authentic way.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Christine, would you mind not sharing so I can jump on here? Give me 1 second.
So we wanted to get into like kind of the algorithms of sharing, but we're going to save that for the next session because it's, there's a lot of, that's a whole other session by itself.
Yes. All right. I hope everybody can see my screen. This is working.
Yep.
Okay. So this is my LinkedIn. This is what I see. I think this is pretty typical for most people. All right. So step number 1 is the entry level, what I would call, to getting in the game. Okay. So you can go to your own company, and this is a most recent post. Okay. We're a national company, so we have pretty good coverage. And you simply go down to the share button, and then it's going to come up. And this is where I will challenge everybody on the call to resist the urge to just hit post and to add something in here, something about your thoughts and something about why you're sharing it. You post it and you let it go. That is the easiest way to start. I would love to see everybody, send a post out today, just to practice. Okay. That is sort of the 101. Now, if you're doing some research and you find an article, for example, the Worcester Business Journal for the local community is pretty good. Framingham State, they're a potential client. We do some work there. Here's a great article.
Yep. We can't see your screen anymore.
Okay. Hang on 1 second. Okay, what do I do here? Does that work?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm better at LinkedIn than Zoom. So here's an article about Framingham State. There's a little button here. Here's your LinkedIn. Okay, I've read the article. I think it would be worth sharing with the audience. It automatically takes you to LinkedIn with a great photo. And if you wanted to send this to an individual, that's fine. But if you want to just share in a post, you click the button. And then again, here is where I'm challenging you to let people know in a sentence or two why you think this is important, and then share. So that is sort of the blocking and tackling. That will go out to, to your audience. The question is, will it have an impact? So what's really cool, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
So it's really cool, and this is something I do all the time, is it's trial and error. So why don't you post something, and then you can go to your profile and come down to post an activity. And then, so this is all of your activity. If you go to your posts, what's great about LinkedIn is it gives you the feedback. So this is something we sent out for the class today. It got 1,400 views, okay? And you can go and see, here's a video about Brown getting ready to open up. That did a little bit better. And you can go through and see, what are people responding to? So one thing on the slide was, talking about current events, and obviously COVID-19 is dominating the industry, and just some feel-good things. It doesn't have to be, you don't really want to get too personal, but it doesn't have to be just projects. This is where you're really starting to open up and let people get a feel for sort of who you are. Here's a great example of a share. So Les Hisco's our CEO, great guy. That got 389 views. What I would consider kind of a silly feel-good post got 3,300 views. So the data is right there for you to see.
I want to jump in on one thing that just happened this morning, because I posted a question on LinkedIn looking for a net zero consultant for a residential project. In my messages, I now have 6 referrals for net zero consultants. Who knew?
It's crazy. And something like this, and you don't know when you post, I think it's really fun. You don't know how it's going to respond. So when this first thing, it was the second day of COVID, I just Googled, I did a Google image for social distancing, and this silly little JPEG came up, and I put it down there. I added my 2 cents, not too long, kind of topical, a little bit fun, and it almost had 20,000 views. 20,000 views for no investment is just an unbelievable opportunity. So, sharing your day, what we're going to talk about at the end, what's going over the line, promoting clients like Fallon. It's just an unbelievable opportunity that I think if you start with kind of that share and work your way through that process, I think what you're really going to find is the numbers just really start to excel. And what I would challenge, kind of my last piece here, and I'll be quiet, is a lot of people will post one thing and look at it and say it didn't work. And to that, I would say, no kidding. It's that keep showing up thing. So I hate to say it, but the first time you heard the word coronavirus, it probably went in one ear and out the other. I think every living creature on this globe knows what coronavirus is at this point. Not that I want you to be coronavirus, but it's the consistency of showing up and sort of being a little bit disciplined to it. I think you'll see just tremendous upside.
Jeff, could you go down and just show one of the posts so that people see that you can see the statistics of the post?
Sure. Okay, so this is a project here. It's a quick video. In the second thing, I want to talk about original video and the power that it has. But if you click on the views, it shows you who's looking at this. So on this particular view, a lot of our competition is looking at it because this is what we do, right? We build buildings in Boston. That's great. On others, it's interesting to see who's looking at your different views, and all of this data is here for you with an unpaid subscription. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing for now so we can get through the presentation. And if in the Q&A afterwards we want to go back in, I'm more than happy to do that.
And also,
and the last piece there was how often. If you go back one, I forgot to touch on that. I think how often, based on the results that we saw, don't worry about a number, do more than you think. So if you think maybe I'll post 1 per week, I would challenge you to post 2 and just get comfortable with that. A lot of people are worried, oh, what if people think I'm posting too much? One thing you need to remember is everybody's busy and nobody cares. All right, you're going to be flipping through, you're flipping through, you're flipping through. No one is sitting there. Oh, Christina posted 2 times. No one's doing that. No one's doing that.
Yeah,
And if they are, you've got their undivided attention and you've already won.
And just to support what Jeff is talking about as far as posting, in this pandemic, when everybody's stuck at home, this is a great way to maintain your visibility, you know, so that you are front of mind. It's going to be some time before we're back in person seeing each other. So this is a great way to stay front of mind and be thought of first for opportunities. So, you know, how do you build your network? Certainly, some people don't realize, but you really want to get over 500 contacts because that makes you a super connector. LinkedIn works on degrees of connections, but one of the things, even if you only use LinkedIn to post once in a while, the bare minimum LinkedIn is great for is creating a virtual database of your contacts. So all of those people, should they move to another firm or change careers altogether, you can still stay connected to that person. So think about this as a community, because at the end of the day, it's about relationships. And I think Jeff's point is the consistency. It develops trust and understanding of the other person's viewpoint, skills, professionalism, so that you can build upon that and have potentially business opportunities together. So in your career, join professional organizations. Of course, LinkedIn is a great one. You can join the groups, but also too, if you're on a committee, connect to all of your committee members. Also look at each of the people that you've worked with, connect with your past colleagues, your present colleagues. And also too, if you go to like for today, you should connect to each one of us and just put a note in saying, you know, I was on the Cornet call this morning, found the information valuable, would love to connect with you here virtually. Just hitting connect is, I don't find it to be very personalized. So, and it also too, if somebody out of the blue wants to reach out and connect with you, they really need to send a note as to why. So when each time you come onto LinkedIn, you'll see here, you might know this person, you might know this person. That really comes just from your connections on LinkedIn. So it's the second and third degree connections of people in your network, which goes back to the top point of 500 contacts. So once you have 500 contacts, the exponential is, I think it's something akin to about 7 million people you can connect to. But the idea is that you can curate your basically your database of contacts. And then when you're posting something on LinkedIn, you'll reach all of them. Should they interact with that post, it reaches all of their people in their network. One of the biggest questions I'm always asked is, what happens if somebody I don't know reaches out on LinkedIn and asks me to connect? I always go through an evaluation process. Some people automatically accept. I'd like to go through an evaluation process of thinking about, okay, who is this person? Who do they work for? Who do they know in my network? That's really something that's really important to me. Also, is this person somebody that could help me with my business or opportunities I'm looking for? What could I do for them? Because always keep that share it forward mentality. This isn't just about transactional. If you're transactional on LinkedIn, it becomes very apparent and it's not genuine.
Yeah, one thing I can add to that is I've learned a lot from what people do to me. So if people reach out and say, hey, you know, I'm just building my network for us, the construction industry, love to connect. Sure. Right. If somebody sends you a message, hello, Jeffrey, my name is this, our company does XYZ. Here's our brochure. Can we set up 10 minutes to talk? No. And so you learn quickly from your experience, what do you like to see and what don't you like to see? And just simply take that on, as you develop your skills.
Or you connect with them and then they hit you up with the big sales pitch. Like it's not even part of the,
Yeah.
How many people?
I like to lead those people on a little bit and then say no.
So one of the other things too that I do, and this is personal preference, is I make my network private so that if I do connect with somebody can't go and scroll through my connections and then hit somebody up and say, oh, I've been doing business with Rhiannon. I'd like to do business with you. So I just think that that's, I just hold those cards close to the vest. Also, years ago when LinkedIn started, people had this thing where they would hide their profiles so they could go look at other people's profiles. I refer to that as stalking. But at the end of the day, it's really become appropriate and also at times expected that prior to a meeting with a client or a networking meeting, that you go and look at LinkedIn. It actually shows you've done your due diligence, so you understand people. The thing is the relationships. People do business with people they know, trust, and like. And if you go to say, I go to Jeff's profile before we meet, and I see multiple different people that we're connected to, that instantly shows that we have a lot of things in common. The other thing that LinkedIn is great for is making introductions. I just did that for one of my past colleagues who was laid off. And we talked about, where would you like to work? And I don't know if there are opportunities there, but I connected him via LinkedIn, made introductions of the people that I'm introducing him to can go immediately to his profile to see prior to any conversations they're going to have with him. And then, as I was saying, stalking. So, keep your profile unhidden. We all look at different companies, as Jeff was seeing that a lot of the competitors are checking out to see what Shawmut does. It's perfectly all right to go and look at somebody's profile. Because at the end of the day, we're all in the same industry and network, and it's not as if there's something super top secret that people are sharing. And I just think it looks disingenuous if you've got a hidden profile. It's kind of creepy.
I quickly just wanted to touch base. There's 10 minutes, and for all the attendees, if you do have questions, please do raise your hand, or you can just chat, and I'll read the chats, but this is just kind of a heads up.
Do we want to let the Q&A happen and not do job searching career development right now? What do we think? I don't see any questions popping up, so.
Because we've also got LinkedIn groups too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should just keep going, and please, to everybody listening, if you have questions, just throw it out there, chat, or raise your hand.
Okay. Well, Jeff and I are going to talk about job searching and career development. He's going to actually cite a great story, a recent experience that's happened, but you can open your profile up to recruiters and to the platform. I would stay away from putting open for opportunities in your headline, but some people like to do that. That's just my personal preference. I think that the recruiter portion of it is, someone at your company can't see that your light is on, green, that you want to be open to opportunities. There's a great job posting section throughout LinkedIn. You can access jobs, you can set up searches, it'll come right into your email, it'll come into your messaging. And I think we'll dig into that a bit more in maybe the next session, because I know we want to get to Jeff's story and then talk about groups a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I think two points here is really the visibility that I already talked about and the connectivity. So from a visibility standpoint, I did not turn on my light for the recruiters, but somehow they're there. So it's sometimes annoying, but it's good to know that you have sort of people that, if something happened, you have options open. But the story I wanted to kind of get to was, and maybe I can just share my screen. It might be the easiest way. And it also kind of will give you some insight into like the messaging feature. Hang on. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So, this just happened. Try to remain anonymous, but here's a person that, is kind of selling themselves to me. This just happened last night. By posting about the culture and the type of work you do, it also is great for recruiting. People want to come work with you, and it helps us become a better company because we're attracting better talent. But here's an example, and all of your messaging is sortable. So let's see. There you go. Dan Russo, not Daniel LaRusso, for all of you Karate Kid fans. So here's a great example. I mean, this is live, okay? So February 20th, not that long ago, we had a connection. We have the same alma mater. So a lot of people, there's some people like to have commonality. So if somebody went to one of the colleges I attended, there's a little connectivity. He reaches out just very briefly. You can tell without really getting into detail. These are just kind of quick one-offs, which lead to a phone call, which lead to a great conversation. Now, if he had just called me out of the blue, I probably wouldn't have accepted the call. If he had just sent me an email, I wouldn't have accepted it. But what ends up happening here is just networking. It's building a quick rapport with somebody. I really thought this guy was great. You can submit your resume to Shamit online. We get 1,400, I think, resumes a year that are submitted. And to be honest with you, nobody has the time to call through 1,400. In this particular situation, I had him email me his resume, and I took it and I handed it to our head recruiter, and Daniel Russo got offered a job at Shamit. This cost him nothing. It's a lot. None of this is, it's not that it's non-professional, but it's relationship building. And now it happens the same way, whether you're talking to clients or other people in your network, but really kind of getting to know somebody. I've never met Dan Russo in my life, but I feel, this is the point where I feel like I really know him, and I get to know him, and then I could use that as a reference. And, over here on the messaging, it's a great tool with just little tidbits, little quick back and forths. And that's how, you think about any relationship. You're not going in with a sales pitch. You're not going in with like a perfectly proposed agenda. It's a quick here, a quick there, a quick there. And then you look back at it, and some of your best friends in professional life and personal life, you probably don't even remember how and where it started. But with LinkedIn, just being a player in it and just using it, it is amazing how fast your network can grow. And so just one thing I wanted to show, we were talking about it, when you do want to connect to somebody, I'm going to see if John Doe is in here. Like, I don't know who this person is, okay? So if I want to connect to this person, we were talking about it, you can hit connect. But then here's the key. This is where the magic happens. Just like with your posts, you want to say, hi, John, looks like we crossed paths somewhere, something personal and something that draws a connection. What he'll do is he'll receive that, and then he will go to my profile and say, wait a minute, do I know this person? He'll buzz through and say, oh, hey, he went here, he went there, or we used to work together. Yeah, I'll accept. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of LinkedIn is once you accept, now you've kind of got them into your network, right? And then you start building along with him or her. So I think it's a very powerful tool, and Rhiannon hit on it, but make sure you personalize it. You don't want to just connect blind.
Yeah. To add to that, I've been to large conferences and seen really impressive speakers that I would never have been able to connect to if I just sent something blind. So I'll send something that says, I was at the Cornet Global Summit, you spoke on XYZ, I thought it was really interesting, I'd love to virtually connect with you here. I've never had anybody say no.
Yeah. A little a secret story, even just with the COVID, without being able to go to networking events, like, hey, trying to make the best use of my time, really looking forward to growing a stronger, we call it the ACE, architecture, engineering, and construction network. Love to have you join. Like, I'm not asking for anything. They're getting the benefit of kind of getting into a bigger network where people are sharing ideas in the industry. Why not? And not everybody's going to accept, and that's okay. But it's amazing how quickly you can grow a very solid, specific network.
I want to be mindful of time since it is on the.
We're up. We can always save this for our next get together, because I think the next two slides, let's skip this one. So this is an example of, sorry, can you go back one, please? That one. So this actually showed up in my feed. So just, it's really important to be engaged and see what your network is doing. But actually, if you like something, read it first, because make sure you know what the content is before you like it, and especially before you share it. Somebody in my network liked this, so I saw it, and it was littered with all sorts of expletives. So just, and it's actually kind of funny in a very unprofessional manner, but it also shows there are some things on LinkedIn you just do not do, and you don't talk about politics. There are so many different things you don't talk about. If you're going to sit down with a client and have a cup of coffee, think about what you would talk to that client about and what you wouldn't. So don't go near anything that you wouldn't talk to a client about.
Yep. And this is the balance. So we talk about business to business. LinkedIn is a professional social network, unlike a Facebook or an Instagram or a Twitter. So how do you maintain your professionalism in a business environment, but still get your personality out there? And I think like playing with that line a little bit is really important. You can stay safe and stay all professional, and you do not want to go this way, but it's the benefit comes with that area in the middle.
You like the black eye bar I put across him?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I just want to briefly touch, Catherine mentioned, please send any LinkedIn future sessions not information, but suggestions that you would like us to go over. We do want to have more of these, and please submit your feedback. I know there's a survey going out after this, as well as connecting on LinkedIn. Did you have any last things to say, Stacy, Jeff, or Rhiannon?
No, can you go back to that one last slide before?
Oh, yeah.
It's quite fun. And that's something I found when I was doing some research. So it's a very small world. So just know that everything is interconnected, and how you treat people inside and outside of the professional realm.
Good point to end on. Thanks, everybody. I did want to just echo what Christina had suggested, and if anyone has any specific LinkedIn topics they would like to hear more about, please send an email to Erin or myself, and we will use those suggestions to plan future events. So thank you all for joining. Thanks to our speakers, and Christina for arranging, and Debbie and Kate for assisting.
Yeah. Please connect with us all.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
See you on LinkedIn.
Good
Bye.
job, guys.
Thanks.